Good afternoon, good morning, shalom, shalom to all my brothers and sisters across the globe, all my brothers and sisters in the diaspora. This Prince of War, we got brother Bon Simmons and Abdul Haq
Salute.
Islam. Guy,
Peace.
introduce yourself, brother Bonds.
Yeah, what's up, y'all, man? We here. More intellectual dialogue. We got a real hero, a survivor, a warrior in the building with us. A lot of y'all, a lot of us in this culture, you know what I mean? We looking up to artists and we looking up to the wrong people, man. We got some real live Black Panthers, some real superheroes, man. Some people that paved some way and did some things, man. And we want to share some information with y'all, some motivation. Y'all know what time it is.
Yeah, so we're gonna introduce the brother Abdul Haq. He's a member of the December 12th movement, the NE, as well as the NEPPC, the Northeast Political Prisoners Coalition. He's a warrior and he's one of our elders. So get a brother a good digital round of applause. How you doing, my brother? Shalom.
Great, my brother. Peace to you. Peace and power and love to the people. And love to all the brothers and sisters.
All praise. Okay, before we get into the show, I got to give all honor and glory and praise to the Most High God, whose real name is Yahweh, and His only begotten Son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, known as Yahweh Shah. All right. With that being said, brother Abdul Haq Islam, let's start with your journey. Let's talk about your journey. How did things come to fruition for you? And when we talking about this fight against white supremacy?
Yeah. Well, I began, as enemy of the people. Before I became politicized, I would rip anything. I had about 10 or 15 so-called games that I was playing, for cash. And I didn't have no conscience whatsoever. I didn't care about nothing and nobody, The only time I ever passed up any money when I was out in the street, substance abuser. One day, me and my hustling partner was out, and we came across a funeral home, looked in the window, and there was a little casket, a little baby casket about that big with a baby in it, with women standing around it crying, and there was mink coats in the back of the chapel. So my husband partner said, "Let's get them." I dropped my head. I said, "I can't do that." But beside that, I never passed up any money. I had about 15 games I used to play, pickpocketing, boosting, which means shoplifting. We had a thing called a short change, and about 15 things I used to do.
What year was this? So, what year was this?
This was the late 70s and the late 70s. Okay.
Okay. Cool.
I got busted playing a game called 3-Card Molly, which the people can't win. And I got so good at 3-Card Molly that I reached the pinnacle of 3-Card Molly. The first stage is where you bend the card. You throw the cards, then you turn your head, and your partner bend the card, and you act like you didn't see his bid. You take the bid out of the card, put the bid in another card, and throw this card over that card, so they think that this card is landing when it's that one. You dig? And so you move from that, and you go to the tissue paper move. The tissue paper move is your partner put a piece of tissue paper on the card while you ain't looking. You ain't supposed to see it. You remove the tissue paper, and put the tissue paper on the other card. And then the pinnacle is the chewing gum move, where he put a piece of chewing gum on the card, and you pull a switch, So I got so good that I thought that I ripped somebody off for their money that it belonged to me. So I caught a case by turning a game of 3-Card Molly into a robbery because the Vic wanted his back. The Vic wanted his back, and so I wasn't giving it back, and so it turned into a robbery. And that was my first bit. And like I said, I entered the joint. I went to the joint as an enemy of the people, through a social crime. You understand? But by being in the joint, I underwent a transformation. So I started studying. I started studying ethics and morality with the intention of being the best con man that the world has ever known. Now I want to study these principles of ethics and morality so I can convince people that they can trust me so I can rip them off, you know. But by studying ethics and morality, I started saying, whoa, this stuff sounds good. You know, this stuff is cool. This ethics, this moral stuff, this is cool, you dig? And so I started studying other philosophies and philosophers, you know, the ancient, the European ones, and, you know, different thinkers and stuff. And, you know, I entered college, and, you know, I became a straight A student, you know, but at the time, in my early incarceration, I was an atheist. I didn't believe in God at all. And so Muslims came into the penitentiary and visited us. And so a brother told me one thing. He told me, look at the signs inside your body, you know, and think about that. Was that an accident? Was it something that just randomly happened without no intelligence behind it? So as I was studying biology, you know, getting deep into it, because I would do a lot of stuff. Like I said, I was a straight A student, and by be reading details of biology, I was more and more convinced, no, this can't be no accident. These things that happen in the body, these structures and functions, these things that happen for a purpose, you know, I can see intelligence in this, and understanding how being conscious and planned in activities in the world, I can see that same conscious planning inside our bodies. You dig? But the thing about one thing fundamental in that is that the brothers and sisters who came in to the penitentiary, you know, with this religious teacher, these are the type of people, they were not militant, you know, but soon after that, I hooked up with some militant Muslims, you know, some brothers and sisters who was down with revolution, you know, because you know, this other group, you know, they wasn't about real. They called that, you know, self-defense. They call that being a crazy Muslim, you know. But I hooked up and got introduced to some show enough crazy Muslims who used to stop drug dealers from selling dope in Cleveland. Imam Dawood Abdul Malik, you know. So when I got out, I got with them, and most of the Jamaat, most of the group was comprised of people from the penitentiary, you know. And you know, when the call of prayer came, you know, you heard the call of prayer, but at the same time you heard pistols hitting the carpet, boom, 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 you know. And so you know, we went around the town, you know, fight for our rights. You know, we'd go down to City Hall and demand that they give up money for our people, you know. And when we walked in City Hall, you know, that whole building shook, you know, because you know, we was in there. And so you know, I was doing this type of work around Cleveland, you know, this militant Muslim work around Cleveland. And in 1984, I slid to New York, you know, and soon after I got to New York, a little bit after I got to New York, I got involved with the Black Men's Movement Against Crack. This is a movement that was, we went around the city shutting down crack houses, you know.
And this is 1984.
Yeah, that's around that. Well, I went to New York in 1984. I got down with the Black Men's Movement Against Crack around 1986, and under the leadership of a tall brother named Coltrane Shemaranga, you know, we learned that warriors must be invincible. You know, that there's nothing that can stop a real warrior. You know, we develop a real warrior spirit. You know, strength and power. You know, that we can do anything that we put our mind to. Can nothing defeat us. You know, this was the type of attitude we had that said this is the type of attitude a soldier must have. You know, commensurate with what Sun Tzu said in The Art of War, with commensurate with the teaching of the Book of Five Rings, that the spirit of the warrior must be enormous. You understand? And when you face the opponent, the enormity of your spirit takes and snatches that spirit away, and you become victorious. You know, so this was our spirit in the street. You know, we used to go around to the drug dealers and say, y'all got to stop this. I used to tell the drug, I said, look, man, let me tell you something, man. I'm a psychopathic killer, and y'all don't stop selling dope to our people. You know, so also we got involved in the issue of police brutality. You know, standing up against police brutality and organizing people against police brutality. Some of y'all might remember the Million Youth March. We had another march, the March of the Brooklyn Bridge. I was locked up then. The March of the Brooklyn Bridge, where 22 cops went to the hospital. The Million Youth March, 27 cops went to the hospital when they attacked the people. You know, so you know, in the interim, you know, I caught a case. We was going upstate, you know, for some training, and the cops pulled us over, and they claimed that we had some guns in there. You know, and so I called a case then, you know, and I was it was a humorous thing happened in that a kind of funny thing happened in that the cops, you know, claimed that I attacked them. The cops attacked me, and I sent a couple of them to the hospital. You know, and so I got charged with attacking them, you know, and I was a lawyer in my own case. And during the one time I was having a counsel with my wasn't my lawyer, but a dude from the state who was supposed to be helping us, you know, right in front of the jury, we were discussing whether I should become a character witness for myself. So he says, and right in front of the jury, he says, if you become a witness for your character, you know, the jury will hear about your criminal record, you know, he said it like that, you know. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I lost the case, and I got a sentence of 7 to 25 years, you know, and
how much time did you end up doing?
Pardon me?
How much time did you end up doing?
I ended up doing 8 years, you know, and so every time I went to the parole board, they would hit me. So I finally, you know, I went to the parole board one more time. I just walked in the door. I said, man, dig this here. Why are y'all bothering me? I'm trying to sleep. I know y'all gonna hit me, man. You know, so why are you bringing me in here? He said, you're right. You got to hit. And I was out, you know. But during my incarceration, you know, I went to college, and I designed my own curriculum to be that of making revolution. Like I said, I was getting straight A's and everything. So after a while, they stopped issuing Pell Grants, you know, which funded colleges for prisoners, you know, in spite of the fact that prisoners who went to college, you understand, their recidivism rate was much lower than those who didn't go to college. But anyway, they stopped the Pell Grants, so I learned to educate myself, you know. So I say that I gave myself a master's degree, you know, through various readings. You know, once you reach a certain level of education, you learn that what you need to have is research skills. Research skills to know where to look for, you know, how to build an argument, you know, how to do your research to determine what's true.
Yeah, the brother's breaking up. Yeah, you breaking up, brother.
And what?
Yeah, Abdul HAQ, you're breaking up horribly, bro. Well, till we get the brother back. Let me see. Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself. You gotta unmute yourself. Yeah, unmute yourself. Try that. Yeah. Well,
okay, I'm back, right?
Okay. Yes. Excellent. Excellent. Yeah. You have broke up. Okay, we lost the brother. Ultimately, what the brother is trying to explain is that, okay, hold on. Unmute yourself.
We lost him?
Yeah, we lost him. Let me call him back.
Okay. Yeah. All right. You can hear me though? I can't hear you.
Oh, I muted myself. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, brother. Hey, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, excellent. Yeah. We lost you when you was talking about the main. Once you reach a certain level of intellect, it comes to a point where you don't need their schools anymore. We don't
Right.
need it. You could just research the information and fill your reservoir of knowledge and wealth of knowledge.
Right.
We don't always have to be subjected to you don't have to be subjected to the system of white supremacy where we have to feel like it's our duty to go to their schools and be educated by their people, being taught their history, their knowledge, their information. Therefore, if you think like them, if you perceive things in the way they perceive them, then you're just another white supremacist. So we have to educate ourselves outside of the rudimentary ways of America. We have to take our search for the information of knowledge and truth outside of the norms. But I'll give you back the floor. So ultimately, I want to ask you once you because you said you gave yourself a master's degree, right, in knowledge.
Yeah, I awarded myself a master's degree, through knowing, through studying things like logic and reasoning. One of my greatest textbooks was The Making of Black Revolutionaries by James Forman. Learning debate skills, like I said, studying logic, studying the history of revolution and things like that. I gave myself studying the art of war, art of warfare, how to make soldiers and things like that. So I became a master in these things by my own certificate and not depending on the certificate of the enemy, and like I say, being able to do research to discern what is true and what is false, look at different sides of an argument, different presenters, they come from different systemic ways of seeing things, capitalists, socialists, religious people, they come from a different way of viewing things to say what makes things happen, so, you weigh these things and, you come with what is real and separate that from falsehood. And the reality, truth knocks falsehood in the head.
Of course, exactly. Truth always does that. Let me ask you about. Let's talk about your membership to the December 12th movement. Can we speak to
sure.
some of the things and events that the December 12th movement has done specifically?
Yeah, sure. Well, like I said, we started out the Black Men's Movement Against Crack, and we went around New York shutting down crack houses, all over the city. I'm not gonna get into specifics, but we went around the city shutting down crack houses, and we really put the war against crack on the map because by that activity, that it became popular all over America to shut down crack houses, and through that information, through that stimulus and that stimulation, various information came out. For example, how the U.S. was involved in the cocaine trade, bringing cocaine to America through Oliver North, and how the enemy has always used drugs as an enemy against the people. Like I said, I was once a substance abuser, and this is taking me to such a low level in my life that I didn't care about nothing but getting high, thinking I was slick, and stuff like that, and so the Black Men's Movement, and then I went to the joint, and we'd always on the One of our issues is always to stop police brutality, you know, and we've had various encounters with the police where they get the worst of it. I told you about the Million Youth March, where
Yes.
27 cops went to the hospital. The Battle of the Brooklyn Bridge, you know, 22 cops went to the hospital, and they know that when they encounter us, there's a certain way they got to act. They had another group out there, and they would put blind women on security. You know, but they knew that you know, it was a different ball game with us.
Yes.
You know, so
Right.
we got involved in various issues, you know, raising holy HELL in the streets.
That's
You understand
right.
what I'm saying? Having giant demonstrations, you know, putting the power in the people, letting the people know that y'all got power. Remember, Judas and the Black Messiah, the Chairman Fred said, where there's people, there's power. The people got to know that they got power. One of the worst of the slave masters was a slave breaker. You know, the slave master, he was bad enough, but the slave breaker, those who put who inflicted brutality on the slave, to take the slave spirit. You understand? Frantz Fanon said that what oppression does, it destroys part of our humanity. And there's beautiful things in our humanity, like that love of justice. You know, one of the greatest aspects of morality is a love of justice, to fight for justice. So oppression, one thing oppression does, oppression destroys that human aspect that makes us stand and fight against oppression, you know.
Yeah.
And
let me add this, brother, because what we're essentially talking about is, you know, the system of white supremacy, you know, the global the system that dominates the world, right, and all things in it. So we need to be blatantly aware of this fight. So with that being said, I talk about some of the brothers, some of the political prisoners. What's the difference between a political? What would you say was the difference between what you experienced being enlightened, being an enemy to the people at first, and then coming into the knowledge? And so, what would you classify that as versus a political prisoner?
Yeah. Well, first, to hitchhike on what you said, the system of white supremacy. I've done research on that, looking at like South America, the Western United States, the Eastern United States, different places around the world where the white supremacists have murdered, for example, in South America, 57 million people. In the Western United States, 32 million people. You know, Australia, 40 million people. Africa, 132 million people came across the Atlantic Ocean. 72% of them died. You know, so all in all, the system of white supremacy has murdered 500 million dark-skinned people, you know, for wealth and empire. And political prisoners are those who stand up against this system. You know, this is what political prisoners are, the system that uses violence, you understand, to rip us economically. You know, they've murdered 500 million dark-skinned people, and they've ripped around the world $777 trillion in wealth. You know, so these are what political prisoners are. You know, political prisoners are those who stand up against this system. You know, and because of their activity, they are criminalized. They're told they're defined as criminals. Now, a prisoner of political consciousness is one who didn't go to jail for his political activities. However, while he's in jail, through studying, through getting with different groups, through being agitated, educated, and organized, gains a political consciousness. So this is what happened to me during my first incarceration, you know, for a social crime. Like I said, a game of 3-card Molly that turned into a robbery, you know. So as many prisoners of political consciousness, you know, and I encountered many of them while I was in jail. You know, they form groups inside the jail. They form classes, you know, and they teach one another. You know, this is a prisoner of political consciousness. And then, like I say, right now we're talking about political prisoners, you know, so there's a few of them I want to talk about. Mumia Abu Jamal, we just went to Philly, silly Philly, the so-called city of brotherly love, where they hate justice, where they love to give innocent people the death penalty, where you can have a mountain of evidence that a brother is innocent and they won't let him go, and they call this a city of brotherly love. In the case of Mumia Abu Jamal, I just was reading the Jamal Journal. Everybody look that up, jamaljournal.com. And it talks about the evidence in Mumia's case. For example, two chief witnesses testified that Mumia shot at the cop while he was on the ground, fired 6 slugs, fired 6 times. But when you look at the sidewalk around the area, there's no bullets in the sidewalk, you know, which is proof that that testimony is contradicted, you know. The trajectory of the bullets in Mumia, the trajectory of the bullet shows that the bullet took a downward path in Mumia, and it said, it shows that Mumia was coming toward the officer, bent forward, and also the trajectory in the cops, the bullet that went in the back of the cop and came out his side, shows that it was impossible for someone who was coming toward an individual in a forward direction, you understand, to shoot somebody in the back and had the bullet come out at the angle it came out of, you know. The false confession. Mm-hmm. The medical people said that Mumia did not utter a word while he was in the hospital. 2 months later, the cops come, I suddenly remember Mumia said, I shot the cop and I hope he died. I'm glad he's dead. You know, so you know, that is so far-fetched.
Hold on, brother. So concerning that particular case, did the jury, did the judge not kick out that testimony for hearsay? Like
no. Judge Sabo, he was one of them white supremacists, and he had said, I'm gonna make sure that he fries. He said that about Mumia. He used another word for Mumia. He said, I'm gonna make sure he fries. You know, Judge Sabo, you know, was the judge in Mumia's case, you know, a low life, you know, and so that explains why stuff like that wasn't thrown out. You know, Cynthia White, a prostitute. You understand? Later admitted that she lied. You know, she was a prostitute. She used to catch cases, and they made her testify against Mumia. You know, it came out. Johanna Hernandez came out with a bombshell in Philly the other day. Well, they was going through the evidence of the state. They came up with a letter from one of the state's chief witnesses saying, "Where's my money? You know, y'all promised me some money if I testify against Mumia." You know, so this is some of the irregularities in Mumia's case. You know, their witnesses said that they saw a big man running from the scene after the police officer Faulkner was shot. You know, so the evidence of Mumia's innocence is winning much support for him all over the world. You know, another brother, Imam Jamil Al-Amin, formerly known as H. Rap Brown. I was in Atlanta for his entire trial. You know, I sat in the courtroom.
Hold on, brother. Let me before you jump over to H. Rap Brown.
Yeah,
I gotta ask you about this particular case, because you know, our age group and the generation under my age group. Oh, hold on, my camera's off. And the generation under my age group, we're not aware of the atrocities and the injustice that our political prisoners has experienced. So when you talk about, you know, all of you use the word what you say, irregular, something to the effect of, I forget the word you use, but ultimately injustice. You know what I'm saying? They like all of these things that testimonies, people recanting their testimonies, people, you know, alluding to the fact that they was paid to testify. These injustices that we can't overlook.
Prosecutorial misconduct.
Exactly. That's the word I'm looking for.
Prosecutorial misconduct, right.
So we need to be aware of this. So I just want to just speak to that for a second. That all the injustices that they stack the deck against the brother, to convict them of a shooting. Of a
I think
you got the floor, brother.
Many of our brothers and sisters already know dirty tricks that they play in the courtroom, and the police lying on the witness stand. In my case, the police jumped on me, and then they get on the witness stand, sit up there, look like a little college boy lying. They call it tester lying. So a lot of our people are familiar with that. But some information that I didn't give on Mumia at first. Mumia was a Black Panther, a member of the MOVE organization, an organization in Philadelphia that has strong spirits. You understand? Had heart big as all our doors. You understand? And Mumia also was a journalist, a very, very articulate brother, proficient, qualified, very skilled journalist. And Mumia caught a case, you understand, a homicide against a police officer, and he's one of the most famous political prisoners. The incident that I was talking about happened in downtown Philly, and I just gave some of the factual information around that, factual information about his innocence. Indeed, Mumia is innocent, and there's a very great swell of activity. You understand? Saying Mumia must be free. Mumia's had some medical problems lately. And when you're in the penitentiary and you get sick, that's the worst place in the world. You can get sick. Several of our political prisoners right now have very serious medical problems, and everything in the penitentiary takes on the color and the characteristics of the Ku Klux Klan and the Nazis, even the medical profession. The medical profession is supposed to be the most humane of all professions, but in the penitentiary, everything, follows the sway of the white supremacy. White supremacy, which is a weapon of mass destruction, which is a murder weapon against our people. It's always been a murder weapon against our people. So political prisoners have stood up against this violence and this economic ripoff, so that's why they're in there. And so they gave our people love. So our people need to give them love and demand that they become free. Indeed, people have power. So never think that the enemy is so omnipotent that we cannot free our political prisoners, because we have freed some of them already. So, white supremacy wants us to believe that indeed they are God, and one thing about monotheism is that monotheism says that there's no God except God. So the white supremacist is not God, and we can stand up against him, and the people have power. The people in the street have power, and so that's what we instill in our people, in our activities in the streets.
Khan, nah, I'm with you. I'm with you, brother. I just mute myself out of respect so I can hear your complete thoughts.
Yeah, right on.
So let's talk to the Northeast Political Prisoners Coalition, the NEPPC. Let's speak to some of that. Can you talk to some of that? Some of the events that you guys have done. I know you guys just came from Philly. I know you brothers pass out food and things of that nature. Could you speak to some of that?
Yeah, well, before I left prison, I made a promise that I would help those who I left behind, my comrades who I left behind. And similarly, Sekou Odinga, who is the chairman of the Northeast Political Prisoners Coalition, he made the same commitment. Sekou Odinga, member of the Black Liberation Army, who the FBI say liberated Assad Shakur, is the chairman and the founder of the Northeast Political Prisoners Coalition. And we do various things. We had events. They had a website, Jazz for Justice. Recently, me and Frank, we get on the mic every 2 weeks. They've had events at different churches and institutions demanding freedom for prisoners. We go to colleges. I went to Princeton University and had a seminar. We get on the radio. We do publications. So that's the Northeast Political Prisoners Coalition. And you can look us up, NEPPC Facebook. Let me repeat that, NEPPC Facebook, or Northeast Political Prisoners Coalition Facebook. And we encourage people to join us, get down with us.
Okay, all praise. That's beautiful.
Yeah,
that's beautiful, man. That's wonderful. Brother Barnes, you got something? You wanted to say something? I can't hear you. You sound your connection's not good, brother.
Oh man, hold on.
Now it sounds better.
Is that better?
Not much. You still sound like a robot.
How about now?
Jump out and jump back in. See if that's it. Yeah, sorry about that, brother. Sorry about that. But let me get that information again. I want to put that on the screen. What's the Facebook name?
NEPPC Facebook. Also, you can go to Northeast Political Prisoners Coalition Facebook.
Okay, I got you. I'm writing it in now.
Yeah.
Give me I'm not the fastest typer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Can I go into Imam Jamil's case now? I was just
please, brother, please.
Yeah, Imam Jamil is innocent. I think I might have graffitied the whole city of Atlanta with that. Imam Jamil is innocent. Probably some of that's still left in there. I graffitied the whole city, the subway, everywhere. I sat in the courtroom for the entire trial. First, I want to speak on the jury selection. During the jury selection, any juror who had read one paragraph about anything black, they got rid of them. Like I said, Imam Jamil was formerly known as H. Rap Brown. Stokely Carmichael, when H. Rap Brown took over as leadership of SNCC, Stokely Carmichael said, "You think I'm a bad brother, but I ain't got nothing on this brother that's taking over." H. Rap Brown. Okay. So later on, he accepted Islam. He became Imam Jamil Al-Amin. And like I was saying about the jury selection, any juror that knew anything about anything black, they got rid of them. So you had 9 Negroes on the jury who didn't care enough about their people to read one paragraph about their own folks. And they call that a jury of your peers. They had one brother sit up on the witness stand. He was talking about, yeah, I used to be with the Nation of Islam, and we stood up, for that. And I'm back in the back of the courtroom doing like this, signaling this brother that they're trying to get rid of you, And they asked, "So do you believe? What do you think about the FBI?" They said, "Well, we're all human beings," because they keep calling on what I was doing. Said, "We're all human beings, and we have some bad apples, then we have some good ones." I said, "What about cops? You think cops lie?" He said, "Well, they seem to be I've heard that, but it's never appeared that way to me." So the judge said, "I think you lying, you out of here." So you had 9 Negroes on the jury that didn't care enough about their people to read one paragraph about their own race. You had 3 white supremacists, and some of the telling evidence.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, no, I was going to ask you to talk to the effect of some of the evidence in the case.
Yes, I'm going. Okay. The eyewitnesses described the shooter as 5'8" with gray eyes. Imam Jamil is 6'5" with brown eyes. The jury heard that. Okay. The witness, the chief witness was a police officer who said, "I shot the shooter 5 times at point blank range. When they arrested Imam Jamil, he didn't have any marks on his body. Even if he had had a bulletproof vest and was shot at point blank range 5 times, there'll be marks on his body. Okay, another brother, Otis Jackson, has come forward and confessed that he did the crime, that Imam Jamil didn't do it. Okay, 15 minutes after the incident, there were witnesses that said on Ralph David Abernathy Boulevard, a man was bleeding, trying to flag down cars. You know, also people in the neighborhood said they saw the same bleeding man knocking on doors, seeking for help. You know, the FBI agent who claimed they found the weapon, which people who know say Imam Jamil didn't have no weapon like that, Ron Campbell, you know, he had a history. What part of his history is that he shot a black man in the back of the head, and the brother died. And he said it's good that he killed the brother. You know, and this is something that the jury didn't hear. You know, the bullet trajectory showed that where the officer said Imam Jamil was on the passenger side, the bullet trajectory went to the driver's side of the automobile. So the wheel that had this evidence, they kept that hidden for months, and finally came out to show that the bullet trajectory went in the opposite direction of where Imam Jamil was alleged to have been standing. So these are some very, very powerful evidence that he's innocent. And another thing is that everybody who knows Imam Jamil back in the days when he was known as H. Rap Brown, he had a reputation of always telling the truth. So if there was a dispute, a disagreement about something, they would call Rest and Rap. What's up with this one? Whatever Rap said about it, you know, they accepted it because he had a reputation of always telling the truth. I went and visited the brother. He looked me in the eyes and said, "Brother, I didn't do it." You know, so, and I believe him. You know, also based on that evidence, that brother's innocent. You know,
exactly.
Yeah.
Clearly, if they can do the trajectory of a bullet, then they have to be able to do the how tall a person actually was. Where was the person's arm at? When we're talking about someone that's 6'5" versus somebody that's 5'8", there's a ridiculous height difference. You know,
right.
Talk about that trajectory is not the trajectory of somebody shooting a gun that's 6'5". You know,
right.
So these are things that common sense. So when we're talking about the injustice that our people experience, when we talk about white supremacy as a whole, we have to combat white supremacy in all forms of people activity, including law, including economics, things, including media, education. We have to combat white supremacy on all levels, because this is why we are speaking against white supremacy, because of brothers like you know, like you said, the brother's formerly known as H. Rap Brown. How you say his name?
Imam Jamil Al-Amin, formerly known as H. Rap Brown.
Exactly. Yes. So you know, he's not the only brother that's experiencing injustice. So we got to speak against this. You got it, brother.
We have 9 jurors, you understand, who are influenced by white supremacy to that degree. You know, there's no other way that they could hear eyewitness testimony that, you know, in this height differential, there's no way that they could come with guilty unless through white supremacy. They went back and the jury went into deliberations. So white individuals say, I'm the foreman of the jury, he's guilty, you know, and so nine Negroes, in spite of this evidence, come with guilty, you know, and the DA said, the DA said that the case is weak. He told the jury this, and somebody that he said the case is weak, but the weakness of the case, through the holes in the case, you see him. And the jury sit up there with their mouth open, like this is a great orientation or something, like this is some type of great speech that the DA was given. That there's holes in the case, but through the holes in the case, you see him. So the DA is telling this jury that the weakness of the case is proof that he's guilty. That's the U.S. Court system.
That makes no sense at all. That makes absolutely no sense.
Right. You know, another brother that we did a lot of support for, the Northeast Political Prisoners Coalition did a lot of support for, was Jalil Mutakim. You know, I did time with this brother. Jalil Mutakim had a reputation of being a genius while he was in the penitentiary. You know, I did time with him in Green Haven in New York. You know, he did 48 years and finally got out. They tried to railroad him. They put some papers on in front of him, knowing, this after he got on parole, knowing that for him to register to vote, they could violate him for him. They put the voters registration papers in the papers they gave him, you know. So he didn't know that they were, you know, what the scenario was, and so they violated that, tried to send him back to the penitentiary for that, but they threw that garbage out, you know, because, you know, they knew it had been a whole lot of outcry about that. But this brother right here, like I said, he's a reputation for being a genius, and by him being on the street is makes our case, while other brothers need to be free. You know, one thing that this brother's done, there's a lot of conversation about abolishing the police, defund the police. So Jalil has said that through us capturing our culture and being the captains of our own destiny, you understand, by us creating and put our own culture out there, and to divorce ourselves, to separate ourselves from this criminal capitalist, this foul, low life, you understand, mentality, that we don't need no police, you know, that we will have, that we will resolve that issue of violence and crime in the street on our own, you know. Similarly, in that regard, Imam Jamil, one of Imam Jamil's areas of expertise was to take brothers, you know, in that criminal environment, you know, and explain to them the nature of the self, you know, how to elevate the self. One of Imam Jamil's, back in the day, one of Imam Jamil's well-known sayings was that racism is American as cherry pie. But in this period right here, one of Imam Jamil's great insights is that when he said that anybody can fight, but everybody can't win. He said, in order to win, we must operate on the level of our Nasi al-Mutmainah. The Nasi Mutmainah is the level of the self which is closest to God. You know, there's three stages. The first, the Nasi al-Amara, is that animal nature, you know, that we learn through this culture, that culture that's in the rap music, the beast, you know, to be a slave to the lower desires. That's the Nasi al-Amara, which is the cause of criminal activity. After that is the Nasi al-Awama, which is a struggle. You know, the Nasi al-Awama is what we're going through right now during Ramadan, to fight, you understand, to have self-mastery, self-control, self-discipline, you know, you understand, to overpower and break the slavery to Nasi al-Amara, you know. So the highest stage is a Nasi al-Mutmainah, which is that stage where doing good is easy, where we love to do good, where we love morality, where those wonderful, beautiful human aspects that God put in us, you know, courage, loyalty, you know, love of the people, you know, the determination, you know, honesty, these beautiful human aspects that we begin to love these things, it become easy to act upon them, you know, discipline, to abstain ourselves from slavery, the sex outside of marriage, these type of things, you know what I'm saying, that we love these things. In the stage we're closest to God. And this is what Imam Jamil said, in order to win, we must be at that stage, where these beautiful things become powerful, become like iron and steel. You understand? Yeah. Courage is fearlessness. You understand? And Yeah, he said that in order for us to win, we must be at that stage. We're not always at that stage 24/7, but to be at that stage as much as we can. You know.
Yeah,
So this is one of the reasons. Yeah.
Essentially becoming righteous men and women. Essentially becoming wise men and women, people of wisdom.
Right. That's it, brother.
And that's what that comes down to, man. Operating in wisdom.
Yeah, exactly. Coming back to operating in wisdom, knowing how to govern yourself, how to discipline yourself, and like you said, practicing. The scriptures say, practice the rehearse the righteous acts. So we must rehearse the acts of standing up for each other, being, and that takes courage to stand up for your brother that's sitting in a cell, innocent for X amount of years, whether it's one minute or 100 years, it's all the same when a man is innocent. So let's be clear about this. But one of the brothers made a comment. He said, "Could you speak to Matulu?"
Yeah, I did time with Matulu too. You know, I did time with Matulu at MCC, and you know, how many of y'all know that Matulu is Tupac's stepfather?
Yes, I would assume that most people are aware of that, but I would say most people are not aware of that he's a doctor. Most people are not aware that
he's a doctor. Yeah, he one that brought acupuncture, popularized acupuncture as a treatment of various diseases, including drug addiction. Dr. Matulu Shakur, you know, and you know, he was formerly known as Scooby, and you know, he's also a soldier. You know, Matulu is a brother who will stand up against anything. I don't care how big the enemy is. You know, Matulu is a brother that you be around. This brother is like electricity running through his body. You know, yeah, you know, and you know, we used to work out in MCC together. I used to, you know, one of my favorite workouts is hitting the heavy bag. Matulu hit the heavy bag so hard, and I'm talking about in MCC, the heavy bag was what show enough heavy bags. He hit it so hard that the heavy bag bent in half when he hit it. You understand? With that left hook. You understand? That overhand right. You know, it was bent in half when he hits it. You know, and so yeah, Matulu needs to be free too. You know, need to bring that brother. This brother gives our people a whole lot of love, and young brothers, you know, attracted to this brother like he got a magnet attached to his behind. You know, the youth, you know, are attracted to Matulu. Matulu and Tupac had a program called The Code, which was about stopping the violence in the street, you know, and so that's one of his big priorities is stopping the violence in the street. So brothers like this need to be free, you know. So I'm saying these things to say that our people need to feel that. Need to understand and feel in their hearts that these brothers and sisters need to be free. We talk about what was stolen from us, the lives that were stolen from us, the labor that was stolen from us, the resources that were stolen from us, the gold, the diamonds, the magnesium, the coffee, the copper, and all these things were stolen from us. These human treasures have been stolen from us, you know, so we need to have an attitude about this. You know, we need to be outraged about this. There need to be some black rage about this. And black rage, you know, creates black power, like electricity. You understand? Thousands and thousands of volts of black electricity running through our veins. You understand? Demanding black power, demanding justice, demanding freedom. You know, these gross violations of our freedom must produce this type of power in our people. You know, I was speaking about Jalil. Another thing that Jalil is doing right now to show the value of our political prisoners being free is that, you know, sometimes they say people think alike. You know, I was saying that when you look at COINTELPRO was a program by J. Edgar Hogg of the FBI to destroy the Black liberation movement. So they had various strategic objectives in COINTELPRO. Do not let them become
that J. Edgar Hogg. You said J. Edgar Hogg?
Hoover, yeah, J. Edgar Hogg. That's his nickname.
Oh, okay.
In the movement, his nickname is J. Edgar Hogg. Okay. He had come with a COINTELPRO program, a counterintelligence program, and he had strategic objectives. you know. And when I was in the penitentiary, I read the book, The Art of War. Sun Tzu, the author of The Art of War, said the highest stage of generalship is to destroy your enemy's strategy. You dig? So when the enemy lays out his strategy, he's telling you what you do, you know, what you got to do. He's telling us what they need to prevent. So when he said prevent the respectability of revolutionaries to the youth, you understand, that's an objective, something we got to do. When he said that we have to prevent the coalition of the networking of various nationalist and revolutionary organizations, that was also one of the objectives of COINTELPRO, you know. So when we look at what he says has to be prevented, we know what we got to do. So one thing Jalil is doing, Jalil right now is also organizing globally, you know, in opposition to this the strategic objective of COINTELPRO, networking and organizing various groups and formations globally. You understand? For Black Power, and freedom for our people, freedom, that's justice, right, and equality. All right.
All praise, man. All praise.
I was in jail with Noah Washington, you know, a Black Liberation Army soldier, one of Jalil's co-defendants. You know, I used to walk to y'all with this brother. You know, he had a class on spirituality, the purification of the soul. You know, we said in his classes, you know, how to fight against evil. You know, to become strong. You know, this is a brother that after Juma prayer, this brother would sit on the carpet for about an hour and pray to God. You know, this is one of our soldiers. You know, Bashir Hamid. You know, he was another Black Liberation Army soldier. This is a brother who, when he was in fourth stage of cancer, dying of cancer, and couldn't walk 30 feet, you understand, the police feared him. At that point, when he was near death, the police feared him more than they feared some drug dealer on the yard who could lift 500 pounds, because they know he would bring it to him. You understand? His co-defendant, Abdul Majid, I ran the yard with that brother. That brother, man, when he take one step, jogging the yard, one step was about 15 feet. And I'd be keeping up, you know, struggling to keep up, you know. Right. Yeah. Another, yeah, he returned to God too. He passed away a few years ago also. You know, this some brothers I did time with. Talk about Maroon Schultz. Maroon Schultz. And then y'all to get a chance, go online and look up the Maroons. The Maroons was a group in Jamaica that defeated the British 1832 to 1834. All right, look them up. Maroons. There was more slave uprisings in Jamaica than in anywhere. Yeah, the man said go by fake Jamaican accent. Yeah, man. The revolution, man. About fake Jamaican accent. There was more slave uprising in Jamaica than in any other place in this Western Hemisphere. And the Maroons, you know, one thing that they said about education is they teach their students that they are great, you know. And so when we talk about self-determination in education, that's one thing that we got to teach our students, that you're great. You understand? Not in the way that the system try to tell them that they're great, that you can be a great clog in the system of capitalism. That's what the enemy wants our people to think greatness is. No, he can be great in terms of owning the means of production and owning your natural resources, of being self-determining, thinking for yourself, being independent. You understand? Breaking free of every psychological chain. You understand that the enemy tries to put on you. This low life, decadent culture. Being free of that. Being a leader. Being a great scholar. You understand? In these areas, you know, this is the greatness. You understand? For example, the example in Zimbabwe, which was led by who used to be a political prisoner, Robert Mugabe. They defeated the the U.S. imperialism. You understand? Mugabe has said Zimbabwe will never be a colony again. They control the diamonds. They control the gold. They control the coffee. They control all the natural resources in their country. They control their government. You know, and this is what revolutionaries strive for. You know, so Maroon is very, very valuable for us because when the author of the Book of Five Rings, one of the greatest sword fighters in the history of the world, who defeated 69 men in sword fights, he said that the spirit, the warrior, the spirit in you has to be humongous. You understand? Has to be huge, big as all our doors. You understand? And with this spirit, you take the spirit of your enemy. You understand? Right. So this enemy that tells us that we're nothing, that we low lives, we 3/5 of a human being. You understand? The gives us disrespectful titles and stuff like that. This is a brother that can, you know, generals in the army. Sometimes the soldiers, they will be feeling like defeated. They may be feeling like retreating and giving up. But then they look and they see the leaders fighting strong. You understand? And this gives them courage and they fight back. You know, so this is the type of person we need in this area where the Proud Boys and groups like that, you understand? We're going to hear more from them in the future. You know, that little thing on January 16th, that ain't it. They still organizing, and Trump is still talking. That's their microphone. It's still Trump. He's still talking. You understand? And, you know, they got their agenda. And, you know, we need this type of spirit. Incidentally, this is the type of spirit when he was in the joint.
Oh, you muted yourself. You mute. Yeah.
The wrong thing.
Yeah.
This is the type of brother. This is the type of brother that in the joint, in the penitentiary, when brothers about to kill each other, this is the type of brother who resolves beefs. You understand? These youth in the street, you know, they want to be soldiers. You know, some bald-headed, pot-bellied coward waving some American flag. They ain't trying to hear what they saying. They're not trying to listen to Michelle Obama or Barack Obama or nobody like that. You know, they respect the soldiers. The soldiers are the only one who can bring the ceasefires, who can bring these groups together.
Right.
I'm going to get another call. Somebody trying to call me again. All right, that's Frank trying to call me. You understand what I'm saying? But these are the types of brothers who can create this love, you understand, that our youth need to have for one another. Can you still hear me, brother? I'm trying to get a call. A call trying to come.
Yeah, I can hear you.
You know, and earlier I mentioned prisoners of political consciousness.
Yeah.
It's two brothers who went to the penitentiary who became political prisoners of political consciousness, who were not political when they went in there. You know, these are well-known brothers. One is Jeff Fort, who's now known as Imam Malik, was leader of the Blackstone Rangers and El Rukin. The other is Larry Hoover, was leader of the Black Gangster Disciples. You know, now, in recent times, these brothers have sat down and ate lunch together. Both of these brothers are calling for our youth to love one another, to stop this banging, you understand, to get political. You know, both of these brothers are calling for that right now. Jeff Fort's daughter, Amina, has a program in Chicago where she goes around. Somebody else trying to call me again. All right. Sorry, but where she goes around teaching the youth to love one another, to love themselves. You understand? Larry Hoover, you know, he's saying that the highest principle, the most powerful principle is love. Like I'm saying, these are brothers of political consciousness, you know, very, very well-respected brothers. You know, the youth respect Jeff Fort. The youth respect Larry Hoover. You understand? And these are brothers right now who are calling to stop this banging, to stop this violence among ourselves and come together. Like I said, Bill Clinton had said that the youth in the street got more guns than the police.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? So I'm not calling for no, I wouldn't call for no.
I know what you're saying.
But,
we're not advocating violence over here, not at all. But before I let you go, right? I want to bring something up real quick, because what we're seeing right now in the media is this mass push of negative images of our black women. Initially, it was the attack against the black man. They destroyed our images throughout the world, and now they're attacking the image of the black woman. Through music, they are propagating a idea that the value of the black woman's womb is worthless. You know, with these terminologies like WAP and things of that nature. You know, where women are being promoted to flaunt their sexuality in terms of payment, ultimately being a prostitute. You know, so I want to get your opinion on that before we go on. What do you think about the state of our sisters and our mothers and our daughters? What would you say to that?
Brother, I got strong opinions on that. You know, and before we came on, I thought about it. Women have the capacity to create a powerful moral structure in a society, and the enemy knows this. You know, women, can give great leadership to this morality. There's very great power in morality. Like I said, a determination, a strong movement for justice is attached to morality. Justice is a very, very great aspect of morality, and women have the power to bring about the power of morality in a society. Earlier, I talked about the different stages of the nafs, of the self. The nafs is known as the self. The nafsi alamara is a slavery to the lower desires. And when the enemy can enslave you to your lower desires, you ain't got no fight for nothing righteous. No love for your humanity. You ain't thinking about nothing but your own skin. My brother, who used to be a police officer, I asked him, I said, a person got to be facing a whole lot of time to be a snitch, ain't they? My brother told me that he's encountered people who will tell on their mama to avoid spending 6 months in jail. You understand? So this is the level of the street culture. Women have the power to elevate us out of this, the slavery to the lower desires. Ayatollah Khomeini, one of the brothers I studied, my early journey into Islam, like I said, I came from the nonviolent introduction, that peaceful, I wouldn't say nonviolent, that peaceful introduction to Islam into a more radical presentation. And Imam Khomeini said that during the Battle of Algiers, look that up online. It's a movie on that. In fact, the Battle of Algiers, look it up online, y'all. During the Battle of Algiers, that the French feared the niqabs the women were wearing more than they feared the bullets the men were firing, because they knew through history that where they found morality in women, they find stiff resistance in men. And where they find immorality in women, they run through the men like water. You understand? So these sisters are used. They don't understand it. Right now we have those different camps. We have those who are in the camp of walking around half naked, sexual immorality, promiscuousness and all that stuff. That's a camp. But also we have a camp of sisters who believe in covering themselves and being moral. They out there too, and that needs to grow. That's a great protection of women. That has to be promoted. That needs to grow more. Y'all know about the sisters. Some of them are Muslims, some of them are not Muslim, but they wear the garments covering up their beauty. Their beauty is only for their husband. You dig?
Indeed.
So
I'm with you on that. So,
yeah.
you know, I want to add to that because, you know, when we talk about white supremacy, the system of white supremacy, one of the main strategies, right, and the most significant strategy is to devalue, is to cause conflict and confusion amongst black men and black women, to keep us divided mentally, emotionally, but as well as physically. You know, to keep us destroyed, keep us separated from each other. So when black women are not in their proper state, which ultimately means that the man will never be in his proper state if his mother doesn't teach the child to be a man, then how could he grow to be a man, or at least with the understanding of what a man is, you know? So they have destroyed our images as a people, as a people group. They have destroyed us in every aspect. So, you know, for our message to our sisters, you guys have to accept more from from our men, accept better from our men, you know, and then we can do better. Because make no mistake about it, if a man could live in a cardboard box and and be married, we would. You know what I'm saying? So the simple fact is, you know, we're here to protect you. We're here to do everything for our sisters to uplift them, you know. But we need your help to uplift the community. So, brother, you have any closing statements you want to share?
Yeah. Well, on that, I would say that women have the power to influence men to be the ultimate that a man can be. You understand? Because you know, the attractiveness of a woman is a very, very great magnetism. You understand? So if a dude feel like he can be a low down dog and you know, a woman accept that, he'll be that. But if she puts a demand on him that you got to be all that you can be, a brother's gonna strive for that. You know, and all this confusion and this fighting and this banging and stuff that our brothers and sisters go through, you know, love conquers that. You got to love your woman, man. You know, the sister love the brother, you know, and you know, and have that respect. You dig? And so all this thing that the enemy wants to put on us, you know, that we have the power, you know, to overcome all that. We got to believe that can't nothing conquer us. You know, like I said, man, when Fat and Whitehead say, ain't no stopping us now. You know, we revolutionaries and revolutionaries of the spirit that you know, we're undefeatable. You know, we're invincible. You know, and that we have the power, like Chairman Fred said in the Jews in the Black Messiah, where there's people, there's power. You know, so look at all the black power around you. There's power in our people. You know, and go by your own leadership. You know, be able to analyze the propaganda of the enemy. You know, read the history of the enemy. The enemy can never be our leadership. The atrocities they've committed, the unhuman acts they've committed, the murders they committed. You understand? The genocides, you know, the genocides on the continent, on the African continent, genocides on this continent, between 20 and 80 million people they murdered to steal their land. The hundreds of millions of our people they murdered. They can never be our leadership, you know, and you know, we have the power within ourselves to do anything that we try to do. Ain't no stopping us now. That's right. Black power. Black revolution.
Black power.
That's right. That's right. So with that guy, Brother Barnes, you have something?
I just wanted to say, I got to bring everything back to the, all praise to the Most High. I don't know how far you touched on that, brother, but I heard you reference Most High a few times. So I just want to say, where do you think the significance of us, far as knowing our biblical history and us getting closer to God and letting that wisdom lead us into, across, of course, the other information and knowledge to set us free as a culture, man. How can we, how you feel about that?
Yeah, well, I spoke on the self, that's consciousness of God, and
you particularly, not to cut you off, but like you particularly, like, I don't know, like, as opposed, if it was the same how you grew up, I don't know if you grew up like, if that's the main focus of your, because when I spoke to like Brother Haskins, I know he said he wasn't really, you know what I mean? It wasn't really, so I don't know. Are you?
Right. Now I got you. He's asking more about the spiritual journey. How do you equate
you believe in,
journey into the fight against white supremacy?
You believe in God?
Well, I think it's critical, you know, religious people, you know, God consciousness is key. It's very, very fundamental, you know, in making us be all that we can be, you know, in the development of that higher human personality, that personality that God created, you know, God being all wise and all powerful has created a human being that has very, very great potential, you know, and through the human being conscious of God, you understand, and being obedient to God, you understand, you know, we develop abilities, you know, to overcome anything that's put in our path in this journey on earth. You know, it's a powerful weapon. And
Yeah, we
you
look.
know,
Yeah,
I, 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 I talked about the
the brother
Yeah, praise.
Nazi
the brother reception is horrible. Hey, brother, can you hear me?
Self
Okay, we lost the brother's reception is horrible. Let me see if I can get.
of God.
Oh, all right.
The cell
You
phone call
breaking
trying
up,
to come
brother?
through.
You breaking up, brother.
Yeah, we broke up on that last part, bro.
Yeah, you broke up on the last part. He said a call was coming in. No, can you hear me, brother?
It shuts us down. But
Okay, I got you.
yeah, I think it's very, very important, you know, that we must gain the power and the strength and the wisdom, you know, that comes from obeying that which created us. That which created us knows us and knows what is good for us, you know, more than we can by guessing and walking around conjecturing. You understand? That which created us knows, you know, what is good for us. So we must become very, very strong in our obedience to the Most High. You know, that's wisdom. You know.
Yes, sir.
You know, I thank you, bro. I thank you for thanks, man, for coming out, sharing, taking this time, man. And I hope y'all appreciate this brother, man. Y'all give him his flowers, man. He's a warrior. He's a motivation and an inspiration to all of us, man. He's been on the front line of this movement, man. And when we screaming Black Lives Matter and all this protesting and all that now, man, we got a voice. They move when we protest now because a lot of the fight that these brothers did, man, a lot of work that they put in that wasn't just talking. And a lot of time that they had to do for the work that they put in. Y'all respect these gangsters out there that went to jail for 5 years for shooting somebody or doing something for no reason. These brothers then gave their life. These brothers then gave lifetimes. These brothers gave 30, 40 years. These brothers then put their life on the line just because they wanted you to be respected, just because they wanted us to be loved out here, man. So I hope everybody respect these brothers, man. I hope everybody loving this conversation. And this the real Black Panther, man. So y'all should crowd to this, like y'all crowd to the other Black Panther, like y'all crowd to the movie theaters to go see that Black Panther. You know what I'm saying? Respect these ones the same way. For real.
Exactly. All praise to the Most High. That brother, we're gonna say shalom, shalom, Islam, and peace, my brother.
Peace, y'all.
All right, peace, brother. I want to say, free all political prisoners now.
Yes, right
now. Exactly. Free them all, right.
Right now.
Right. Free them all.
Shalom.
Yeah, bro. Peace, y'all. Thanks for coming out. Good night. God bless. Make sure y'all follow, like, and subscribe. This was another one, another banger, another one in the books. You heard?